Welcome to Tosche Station.
We're talking Star Wars.
And today, we're talking The Force Awakens 2D versus 3D. Let's get into it. Alright, so when we're talking 3D, I have to go back to my very first experience with 3D, which was, I used to live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I went to Kings Island. And at Kings Island, they had a SpongeBob ride. Now, I'm pretty sure this wasn't my absolute first experience with 3D, but it was the first time I got to experience real 3D. And this ride I had something to do with, flipping Krabby Patties with SpongeBob and that sort of thing. But I remember you sat in the seats and the seats like rocked around and moved, stuff sprayed in your face. And at one point, I remember SpongeBob was like playing, he was trying to hit a fly with one of those bouncy things called, and it's coming at you.
Oh yeah.
I remember how cool it was because it was a ride. It was a ride. It was something that I was supposed to experience here, real world stuff. And my first point I want to make about this 3D versus 2D thing is that I feel like in a 3D medium, you're looking more at a ride than a movie. I think that a ride you're supposed to experience in real time yourself. You're experiencing it. In a movie, it's more about being drawn into somewhere else and maybe experiencing it as the characters or however, but in the movie, not so much in real life. So that's the big difference. One's a there experience and one is a here experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. But first of all, let me know. I'm glad you enjoyed that SpongeBob ride because that traumatized me as a kid. Just saying. I cried. But I do agree that it is more of a ride with 3D. But let me also say, I went to see Jurassic World recently when it came out in 3D IMAX, and I think that it enhanced the movie so much in what it was trying to do, what it was trying to portray in terms of suspense, terror, and coolness. And I think that 3D is the usefulness of 3D is based on the movie itself, what the movie's trying to do, what it's trying to say, what it's trying to portray. Some movies are made for it, made and designed for it, even if unintentionally. They're just better with it. So I think that's it just depends on the movie that you're making.
I think I would agree. It's hard for me to really say because even what Jurassic World was going for, it was still going for more of a here experience, especially with suspense and stuff like that. They kind of try to bring it to you, bring it to where you live, that kind of thing. And I get that for the experience kind of thing, but like Devin was saying, it just feels like it's ride-like to me. It's not really you being drawn into that world, which, more onto the topic of Star Wars, is what Star Wars should be. We should go into that world. Yeah. Not them bring it to this one. We want to be a part of those galaxies and that light speed and that kind of thing. So it will be a cool experience. I have no doubt that I'll see it in 3D.
Yeah, at some point.
I'll see it like 5 or 6 times. We'll all see it plenty of times. 20. But I am definitely looking forward more to the 2D version, for sure. Yeah. Just as a side note, the 3D hurts my eyes. Yeah. It hurts my eye. The glasses are just huge, and I'm constantly rubbing them. So it kind of hurts the experience in that way as well.
And I think some of that, for me at least, is just not being used to looking at things that way through that kind of a lens and stuff. But it hurts my eyes as well. I think an interesting point you pointed out earlier was that a good movie stands on its own. So a good movie doesn't need this 3D thing. We don't need 3D to fully experience a movie. So I just thought that was important to point out that a good litmus test for whether 3D is really appropriate or not is whether or not the movie can stand on its own. And actually, I would say that's a litmus test for me, but I can imagine other people would say it backwards, where they would say, well, if 3D makes the movie, then you need to have it. So there's kind of both sides of that. Yeah. Where on one side I'm saying, hey, it needs to be able to stand on its own without it, and then on the other side they're saying, well, but if it needs it, it should have it.
That's fair.
And so there's got to be a balance there.
I feel like it just kind of defeats the purpose of the movie, though. And perhaps it's just the more classic idea of the movie. The movie's on the screen, but I feel like the content of the movie, is what should make the movie. If we're looking for an experience, go ride a ride, or something like that. We're not so much reaching for an experience here as us being drawn in, us being there for the experience, as opposed to the experience being here. I'm standing on that.
And you know what? I agree with both of you. I mean, it does sometimes sort of defeat the purpose of the movie, how we're supposed to go into that world, not bring that world into ours and stuff like that. But just like I said earlier, there are some movies that are made for it, and I also understand that not every movie is made for it. I mean, I think there are definitely more movies that are better in 2D than there are 3D, and 3D is just more of a ride sort of experience, and you gotta consider it as such.
Can I say this? I think that 3D can become distracting to me, to my imagination fully getting into the movie. Being a part of the movie means you can only delve so far before you start, like in terms of Jurassic World, if you experience real peril upon yourself, then you're distracted from other parts of the movie. You're like, I'm like afraid, so I'm being, there's this thing pulling me away from being completely immersed in what's going on.
I agree with that.
So, any final thoughts? I think we wrap it up.
For The Force Awakens, we'll ask you guys too, but first off, what do you think, 2D or 3D?
I'm going to drop 2D. I'm going to go ahead and say 2D because that's how I prefer to watch movies. I prefer to be able to jump in entirely, imagination and whole, and enjoy myself that way. So as far as Star Wars and that immersion, 2D.
2D.
Dope. Yeah, I agree. 2D for the first time. I mean, 3D obviously comes afterwards to see if it enhances the movie. Because I think the movie industry should not make 3D like a cornerstone of movie making. Like I know with The Hobbit, even like they filmed it in 3D with 3D cameras, and that sort of messed up the movie for me. It's just there was something about the look of it. So I think 3D should not be a cornerstone of movie making. It should just be an enhancement for certain movies that it works with. So I will see it in 2D for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going 2D.
A bunch of 2Ders over here.
2D because, like I said before, we need to be drawn into that world. We want to be in the Star Wars universe, not the other way around. So, hey, thank you for watching Tosche Station. Be sure to comment below on any thoughts. Let us know. Do you prefer 2D or 3D? And what are you going to go see The Force Awakens in?
And if you've got a good argument for 3D, please throw it out there. We'd love to see it because, obviously we're a bunch of 3D haters around here.
Absolutely. Be sure to comment below on any thoughts you have. Also, please subscribe and check out our other videos in the description. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
And may the Force be with you.